And the great thing is the system she built wasn't just effective, but the folks who participated had fun doing it. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Maria to the stage.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for this lovely introduction. I am Maria, I am a personal branding consultant and Notion ambassador and a content creator as well. And today, like Laura teased, I will be talking about how to train your team with Notion. Because in my last role, I was a founding marketer at a design agency called Magyar, and in under 2 years, we more than doubled our revenue. We rebranded, and we also grew multiple LinkedIn accounts to over 10,000 followers. And that growth translated directly into business. Because LinkedIn became our #1 source of leads and clients, and the third largest traffic driver as well. Like you can see here on this Google Analytics screenshot. But here's the thing, that traction wasn't just because me or the founders were posting, it was because we involved the whole team, because we realized that if we want to scale this, we want to go big, we need to involve the whole team. And Notion played a key part in that. So today I want to show you how we use Notion not just to organize our day-to-day work, but as a training/educational hub to turn a team that was terrified to post on LinkedIn, because let's face it, most people are not very excited to be on LinkedIn, especially if they are not marketers or the founder, but other team members from other departments. We turned the team into confident brand builders, building not only their personal brands, but also our pipeline. Now, I'll share what I did to train the team on LinkedIn, but this use case or this system works also for educating on any topic. It could be AI, onboarding, or any other skills. And after this, I hope you see that Notion can be what you need it to be. It doesn't have to be just a task management tool. It can be so much more than that. So let's start with the 3 key pillars that I believe are essential to training a team. And all of them are, I think, equally important, at least in my experience. And the first pillar is educate. Because there was a perception gap. Many still saw LinkedIn as this place where you go to when you're desperate to find a job and you need to show off, and there are recruiters talking to each other, and if you show any sign of weakness, you're not going to get hired. So it's a place you avoid after you get hired, not go to build your personal brand. So we had to change this perception, and that's why I built this educational hub in Notion. It looks like this. It's a Notion page. And there are 4 sub-pages on this page. There's, of course, an introduction with a video, and the first step, the first sub-page is like an introduction to LinkedIn. Why be on LinkedIn? Why is it even worth it to be on LinkedIn as a designer, for example, and not the founder or a marketer? Second step was, how to post on LinkedIn, how to write posts that sound like you, don't sound cringe, that perform well, what are good types of content posts. The third step was all about systems, so how to stay consistent, how to plan content, what are the best practices. And the fourth was how to grow, because of course to stay motivated, we all want to grow our accounts as well. And if and how to connect with others, so that was the 4th step. Every step had video tutorials, like this, embedded onto the Notion page. And I also added step-by-step checklists for some key things people need to know when writing or being on LinkedIn. So one was, for example, this LinkedIn profile optimization checklist for the Magyar team specifically, which had like templates, and there are like better templates, profile picture templates, Figma files, etc., embedded onto the page so that they know exactly how to optimize their profile. And the second one that I want to show as an example is a post-publishing checklist, because in the beginning, you may not know what makes a good post, so following a checklist can help with that. And I also wrote some post templates for various roles in the team, so for designers, for website developers, and for art directors, just different templates that they can use also to get started. I also noticed that some questions came up again and again in conversations about LinkedIn, Notion, and personal branding, and so I added FAQ sections as call-outs throughout the hub to where it's relevant. Questions like, writing doesn't come naturally to me, what do I do? Or what is a hook? or where can I get content ideas from, and many, many more. And adding these FAQs helped reduce the need to hop on calls by over 80%, because as I mentioned, I was the only marketer on the team at Magyar. The other ones were developers and designers, art directors, and they were spending most of their days in Figma or Webflow, not Notion. So most of them were Notion beginners, and I had to make this hub as comprehensive, easy to use, and detailed and clear as possible so that everyone can use it regardless of their Notion usage experience. One of my colleagues, for example, Laura, she told me she would love to start posting on LinkedIn, but she really did not know where to start. And I think this hub was exactly what she needed to follow a step-by-step process and be motivated to continue. Because I think just a talk or a meeting with me would not have been enough for her to actually stick to it. I can give you some information, some introduction to LinkedIn, but if I don't have any resources to share, I don't think she would have stuck to it and to building a personal brand. So this hub was a key step in supporting her. And at this point you may be thinking, Maria, but this would take so long to build, is it worth it? And my answer to that would be, one, this project led to really great results, which I'm going to get into in a bit. And second, maybe this might come as a surprise, but I built this in a very focused 2-week sprint. So, of course, startup life, there is no time to waste. I didn't have months to build this out and not show any results. And also, it's not a one-off campaign, it's evergreen content. So this reduced the amount of ad hoc questions by so much, because now the answers to many questions that the team was facing are not in my head anymore, they are in Notion. And whenever someone new joins the team, they have this hub that we can send them, because most new joiners have this initial desire, initial spark to be on LinkedIn to promote the company that they just joined and they're very excited about. And we want to ignite that fire, we don't want to let it die because we don't have the resources to support them. So okay, we've created a resource to educate our team, and it exists. But without the second pillar, no one will actually use it, which is the second challenge as well that you're going to face if you're training your team. So the second pillar is motivate. To motivate the team, we ran a 30-day LinkedIn challenge to nudge people to get started, because that's the hardest part. And this was just a pilot, so we had a very simple system. The top 3 winners based on impressions got a cash prize. But if I were to do this again, I would definitely add more gamification, and I would make it super fun to participate and make it a no-brainer for everyone in the company, to be very excited about this and to try it out. And you can do that also in Notion. So you can create dashboards that pull in LinkedIn analytics through the API and reward people whenever, for example, they post more than their colleagues or they get more impressions, for example, in this case. So here's what it could look like with Notion charts. On the left we have team members and how much they posted in a given week. On the right we can have the teams and how much the teams posted to add some, challenge and a fun way to compare yourself to other teams as well. In our case, one of our designers, Sonia, she won the challenge, and she was about to move to Germany. I really did not think she would be interested in this, because she was packing her life into a suitcase and moving from Korea to Germany. But when she learned that she will be competing against other team members, this really lit her up, her competitive spirit awoke. And she told me that she just had to win this. There was no way she was letting others get the prize. And that's a spirit, because she did win, so we have something to learn from Sonia. And at this point, okay, Maria, will people even care enough if the reward is so small, if I cannot offer a lot? And so that I say small incentives plus the energy and momentum of community, they both create action together. And the price is not everything, because what Sonia also told me is that we made it so easy for them to post and to learn with templates and pre-written posts. We had a database of pre-written posts as well, and designs. It felt like cheating sometimes to post, she told me, which is the biggest compliment, because we want to make it as easy as possible for people to be active. And another thing that I want to highlight is that rather than just telling people to go post on LinkedIn and do what you wanted to do, we led by example from the start, and we were the biggest Notion and LinkedIn ambassadors, like me and the founders. We were posting, we were talking about it, talking about how LinkedIn is driving clients and it's driving revenue and really cool opportunities for months and months before this challenge as well. So that is also super powerful to lead by example. And I think if we were to tell the team to post, but I would have been a huge Notion and LinkedIn hater in an alternative universe, which I cannot even imagine. But I don't think this challenge would have worked. But it's not enough to just educate and motivate the team. Of course, you also have to support them. And support for me means removing the friction as much as possible, making it feel like we're all in this together. And here's what support looked like in our use case. I created a content calendar for the team to track their content and plan posts in advance. So it had suggested content themes, it had a content calendar, a tutorial of how to use it, and much more. I added post templates. You already saw this before. Each column is a role, so designer, developer, art director, and there are post templates that you can adjust to your lessons you've learned or tools you use, but it already follows a structure that works quite well on LinkedIn. And then whenever you use the post as a designer, for example, you click a button called Use by Me, and it disappears for you, but for everyone else it's still there, so it's a really cool Notion feature that you can also use. And now also, after the launch of the AI agent, and this is even more relevant now than it used to be before, you can support your team by teaching them how to use Notion AI to draft posts and get content ideas. And here's a little exercise that anyone here could do. If you want to use Notion for content support or for brainstorming support, you can create a page, 2 pages. One page about you and the company you work for and anything, like maybe examples of your writing as well. And then a second page with your LinkedIn strategy and your rules for the agent. And then you can chat with Notion AI whenever you like and tag both of these pages and ask it to draft posts or give you content ideas and so much more. So it's super, super helpful. I've been using it a lot lately as well. Second thing we did is we also added a dedicated Slack channel where people could ask questions, they could post a link whenever they posted, and people would hype each other up. That really contributed to this atmosphere of, we're in this together. I still offered one-on-one mentorship, but only if it was really needed. And those sessions helped me see where the knowledge gaps are in the Notion Hub, so I could add information back into the Notion Hub, so that support got more strategic over time, and going forward, AI can handle more and more of the repetitive routine questions, and I can help if it's really, really needed and necessary. So we had this one developer, Jack, and I really did not think he was interested. As you may notice a theme, I did not think people would be interested from the start. I knew that I had to really inspire them and motivate them and support them. But then he started DMing me, like, first maybe 2 times a week, then 3 times a week, then almost daily, and then here I was in the trenches with Jack, building his LinkedIn account, which I guess was exactly what I envisioned. And even though I quit the company 2 months ago, he still messages me today for some advice, and I love it because I love seeing people building their personal brands. And again, Maria, we don't have time to support everyone. I totally feel you there. And I was also scared of that because I, again, was the only marketer on the team, and if everyone would come to me with every small question, I think I would have had a huge amount of work on my desk and no time to focus. But the thing is, the more resources you provide to your team, the less hand-holding they will need. And the more detailed your Notion is, the better the AI can answer many of the questions in the future. So it's really important to make it super detailed. And then the challenge became to nudge people to use Notion AI, to try using it, or also to try to find the answers in the Notion Hub, or sending them links to where they can find the answers if they were asking me something which I know is in the Notion Hub, which of course happened quite a few times. Let's talk impact, because you may be wondering, okay, this 30-day challenge, what did it even lead to? And over the 30 days, we had 10 new team members posting. We got over 1,000 email leads from our ideal clients, and we reached 300,000 impressions just from these 10 new people posting that would not have posted otherwise if we didn't nudge them to do so. So we got much more reach and awareness than we would have, inbound requests from leads, and the most important thing is that the behavior towards LinkedIn changed, and towards personal branding as well. People started acknowledging that their opinions, their voice is valuable, and they have something to say, which I think is the most beautiful thing that happened out of this challenge. And this is the power of educating, motivating, and supporting your team. Just look at these screenshots of analytics. It's so motivating for people to see that even though we weren't posting before, in just 30 days you can really change your perception of LinkedIn, how the content is performing, and your whole approach, basically. And what I want to highlight here is Notion really can be what you need it to be. It can be simple, it can be complex, it can be a tool where you track your tasks and projects. It can be an educational hub, like in this case. At my year, it was my marketing hub, it was my content management system, and now in my life as a solopreneur, it's my CRM, it's my tasks and projects database and hub, it's my journal, it's my content dashboard, and basically my whole life is in Notion, and it serves so many different purposes in one. I have a challenge for you because I hope that you feel a bit inspired to try posting on LinkedIn if you haven't yet. I would love you to share your one takeaway from today on LinkedIn using the hashtag #MakeWithNotion. Thank you so much. You can feel free to tag me as well. I would love to read your responses.
Can you get back? Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you can connect with me and learn more about my work by scanning the QR code.
Thanks. All right. Maria, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I know I was sitting over there taking a few notes for myself of what I'd like to do from what I learned, and I'm sure others did too. So let's talk a little bit bigger picture. You told us all about your expertise with employer branding built on top of Notion, but I'd love to start with your own journey with Notion. Can you tell us about that?
Of course, thank you. So my journey with Notion goes way back. I think Notion has accompanied me through about 4 or 5 key stages in my life. The first one was when I was studying music in my bachelor's.
Wow.
And it's very far from what I do now, but that was a phase, and I had Notion to help me throughout my studies. Then throughout writing my master's thesis in marketing, and then starting my first role as a marketer as well, and then also becoming a solopreneur. Now I use it for everything in my life. So I guess the red line here is that it has been very adaptable to what I do in my life throughout all these life stages.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's great. I love how adaptable it is and that you've been able to kind of customize it throughout your own professional journey.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you were a founding marketer. How has that prepared you for what you're doing now as a solopreneur?
Well, it's a good question. It prepared me in many ways, I would say, because of course as a founding marketer, I was also the first marketer and the only marketer in this company, so I was many different departments at once. And as a solopreneur, I think every solopreneur and founder can relate, you need to be many different things and be ready for anything. So I guess it has prepared me in a way that I need to be lots of different things at once without losing my focus and trying to juggle a lot of things at the same time. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I'm sure wearing many hats is something you did in that role and in your current role. Absolutely. Well, let's switch gears back to personal brand then. I know I mentioned at the beginning, admitted that to me, working on my personal brand seems a little bit overwhelming. So if you were to give me a piece of advice of one thing I could do today to start building my personal brand, what would that be?
Ooh, one thing. If I could choose one thing, it would be start noticing in your life any lessons or opinions that you're forming about the industry, about the work that you do, about life that surrounds you. Start taking note of all of that and have a system for, taking down these ideas, because all of that can turn into content that is very personal and authentic, and I think that is a way forward also on any social media platform, posting more story-driven and personal content based on your experience and not generic content. So that's a good first step to take note of what is happening in your opinions.
I love that. I will start a new Notion talk so I can keep track of all of those notes. But that's really good advice, very actionable. And you mentioned kind of that element of authenticity. How do you think brands can balance that when you're encouraging employees to post on LinkedIn, but making sure that it still feels authentic to them? I know you mentioned some of your advice to people was how to post on LinkedIn without it being cringe, which is a risk. So what's your take on that balance with authenticity?
I mean, I recommend it to everyone in my clients, but also to the team at the time. I recommend it also to take note of, what is happening in your life, what are your lessons, what are you learning, what mistakes are you making. I think many have this perception that only thing you have to be perfect and professional, and I think LinkedIn has changed a lot over the years. So now, really, you can admit that you made some mistakes in your life and that you learned something out of it, which is going to make you sound so much approachable as well to both recruiters if you're looking for a new role, or also to your peers. You can find friends on LinkedIn, which is not something I would have said 2 years ago even, but now I know it's possible. So I would say to them and to you as well to be more authentic, you need to really write content based on your experience. So again, lessons, mistakes. Like you're allowed to not be perfect, and write as you speak as well.
Yeah.
Anything you're learning, anything you're thinking can become content, basically. Yeah.
I love that. And writing as you speak, that really resonates with me. I know, I think, especially in the age of AI, it's very tempting just to go straight to AI, but using it as part of your process while maintaining your own authentic voice is really important. So speaking of AI, I'd love to get your take on how has the world of AI changed LinkedIn and what you're seeing on LinkedIn?
Oh my gosh, LinkedIn has been through so many phases. I'm sure some of you noticed also the AI comments phase where everyone was replying to comments with AI, and it was just like summarizing a post and not adding any value. So that is a phase I feel like we've outgrown a little bit now, which I'm very happy about. And I feel like how it's changed is that you used to be able to post, my top 5 tips to write a blog post. And that would perform really well, this post on LinkedIn. But now you need, and I see this trend not only on LinkedIn, but also on Facebook, or not necessarily on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, who cares about Facebook? TikTok and Instagram and any other social media platform, I notice more storytelling and your experience and again, your lessons, your mistakes, story-driven content. If you want to teach something, if you want to post about something, add your own background into it, add your story, add your take and your opinion and your experience. And that is how I see AI actually changing social media in a better, for the better, actually. Yeah. So there's a personal element to that. Some people become lazy, they stop thinking about what their opinion is on a topic because they use AI to write a very generic post, which is not something I would recommend doing. I would recommend really embedding your personal experience and your self into what you do and what you write.
Yeah, I love the phrase story-driven posts, because I think that really kind of resonates with me of if I'm thinking about writing a LinkedIn post, as I'm now inspired to do, thank you, I will be thinking about what is the story that I want to tell and how can I draw from my own life and learning. So thank you for that. All right. One more question around the whole social media world, but you really were able to unlock the power of employees. Do you feel like that's something that companies are doing enough of, or is there still a lot of unlocked potential there?
I mean, I feel like more and more companies are seeing the value of their employees posting and encouraging them to post and be kind of like brand ambassadors or corporate influencers. There are different terms for that. I think more and more companies are doing it, but it's really challenging to create this culture of, I trust. You need to create this culture of, I trust you as my employees enough to post whatever you feel. You cannot control, you cannot tell people not to post about something like, of course not like any company secrets or anything, of course that's obvious. I think most employees would know that they shouldn't post any company metrics or something. But you need to really create this culture of learning and trust and sharing, and that is a challenge. I see there's a huge potential for companies. Your employees know the company best. They know the upsides of the product, they know the downsides of the product, they know how to educate about it, they can share the use cases. It's just, every content that they will create is more trustworthy, I guess, instantly, I feel like. If it's a designer talking about the company and how they love to work there, it feels, they're working there, it's nice, it builds your brand image.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the element of trust, as you said, is probably the most important and probably the trickiest for companies to get. All right, last question for you. What's next? What are you working on now?
What is next? I will continue to help support my personal branding clients and Notion clients with everything I do. And I also will continue to create a lot of educational content on YouTube mostly to help educate about the Notion and personal branding as well. So feel free to follow along if you're interested in that or approach me. I'm happy to chat.
Amazing. Maria, thank you so much. Can we get a round of applause? Maria. Thank you.